Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Dawn Huffy. I am the owner of Liberty Belle Coaching, and my life coaching certifications came through the Brave Thinking Institute. The topic I am talking about today is gossiping. Are you tempted to gossip? I am. I hate to admit that, but yes, I don't like it when I want to do that. But I think we can say that we all are tempted to gossip about other people. I love definitions of words, and I wanted to know a bit more about what gossip really meant, and this is what I found. Gossip is a rumor or idle talk that is damaging to a person's reputation. So when we're about to say something mean about someone else, we are actually going to damage their reputation. Now that definition really tells it like it is. When we are gossiping, it is hurting someone. And when we hurt someone else, we also are indirectly hurting ourselves. This is true no matter if you recognize it or not. So when we are tempted to say something negative about someone else, we can ask ourselves, what good can come out of this? There are some other questions that we can ask ourselves about gossiping, and I typed them out for you to see. Before you say something that is on the edge of being mean, ask yourself these 3 questions. And here they are. Number 1, is it true? Well, it might be true. Okay, so maybe it's yes. So number 2, is it necessary? Is it really necessary to say it? And number 3, is it kind? If you get a no to any one of these, do not say it. Gossiping is a habit. We often tear each other down with negative stories because we don't feel good about ourselves at some level. There is a very common pattern that human beings have, and that pattern is feeling like I'm not good enough. And all of that feeling less than we truly are and not feeling good enough can cause us to obliterate others in some way in order to look good and to feel better. Does this really work? No, because in the end, you are still stuck with the not feeling good enough and wanting to look better than others. Talking negatively about others never fixes, and it never heals our wounds. It never changes our patterns or our habits. At my Bible study this week, my friend and I were studying the chapter on gentleness in the book Cultivating the Fruit of the Spirit. I was tempted to gossip about someone that had come up in our conversation, and I'm so happy to report that I did not do it. Some of those questions came up in my mind, and I thought, this isn't going to help anybody if I say that, so I didn't say it. As I reflected on that situation later, I thought about what the opposite of gentleness might be, and I realized that it is most likely arrogance. And then I thought about what a synonym of gentleness might be, and the synonym I came up with was humbleness. When we were talking about this gentleness chapter, my friend and I were discussing humbleness, and she came up with a quote, and we talked about it and we changed it a little bit, but this is the quote that we came up with. There are 3 kinds of people: those that are humble, those that are about to be humbled by God, and those that refuse to be humble. So those that are humble are really walking the way Jesus walked. You know, they're being true to being good and kind. And then the second type of people are those about to be humbled by God. They have fallen off into sin, And God is going to come in and correct them. And they're going to be humbled because they're going to hear the correction. The third type, those who refuse to be humble. They're not even going to know that they're being mean or that they're ruining somebody's reputation. They're just going to go on their day and refuse to be humbled. Mm-hmm. We can really get into arrogance and self-righteousness when we see other people off sinning or when we know of past experiences of another person's sin. And when we get into a weak moment about ourselves, we may grab some gossip and spew it out of our mouth. The fact of this matter is that we are all sinners. None of us escape sinning. We all fall short. We are especially reminded of this right now because of Easter, because of Jesus' crucifixion, and because of Jesus' resurrection for all of us, for all of our sins, and for all of our sickness. These are the times to remind ourselves that we are imperfect, just like everyone else. The only perfect one was Jesus Christ. I want to share a quote with you out of the book that I'm studying right now with my friend, Cultivating the Fruit of the Spirit. The author is Christopher J. H. Wright. And on page 141, he says, "Humility comes a lot easier when you really know yourself. When you know the weak and flawed person who is living inside the shell you have on the outside. Then out of that deep well of self-knowledge and gratitude for the grace of God that has rescued you from your own sin and failure comes humility before God and gentleness towards others." So beautiful to be gentle toward others. Remember, we are all wounded. None of us escape this, and those wounds cause negative patterns and habits. And when you recognize that you are about to participate in the unholy habit of saying something mean or nasty about someone else, stop yourself. Interrupt the habit and say something completely different. Say something kind. Say something better. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.